and welcome to ChapterSkip. I'm Sean.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm Mark.
And we're bringing you movie reviews with a twist.
And today we're looking at the film Bad Milo. With Bad Milo now available on demand and on iTunes, you just knew we were going to be checking this out, right?
After all, if you saw our trailer review, then you'll know that we all like the look of the movie and we're quite enjoying the prospect of seeing what happens when a guy has a demonic creature burst out from his anus and go around killing people.
Although I'm not quite sure what that says about us, but who cares? We've got a movie to review and there's bound to be a load more poop-related jokes in there as well. Right, guys?
Shit, yeah!
Was that it?
What?
Was that your pun?
No, it's just agreeing with you.
Oh, right, okay. What about you, Joe?
Shit, yeah.
Did you say it like that?
I've got constipation.
Oh, yeah. We've got some prune juice here, mate. That'll sort you out.
Bad Milo features Duncan, played by Ken Marino.
And Duncan is a man with many worries, and those worries surface in the form of serious stomach problems. The problems that he's facing are things such as incompetent co-workers, a dickhead boss, a nagging wife, an annoying mother, lifelong daddy issues, and not to mention a doctor who thinks Duncan might be suffering from erectile dysfunction.
These troubles have come to have a serious effect on Duncan, and then one evening, whilst he's doing his business on the loo, he faints due to the massive thing that escapes from his behind. And that thing, of course, is none other than Milo.
Now, Milo isn't your average piece of excrement, as this monster is angry and wants to get revenge on all the people that have caused Duncan stress and pain. Think of it as some sort of weird stress management.
Obviously, the best way to deal with your stress is to not let it get on top of you. And in this case, you really don't want to let Milo get on top of you because you could very well end up with your throat torn out or your dick ripped off.
So Duncan is pressured into seeing a shrink called Highsmith, who's played by Peter Stormare. Thankfully, Highsmith just happens to have a book of ancient myths on his shelf, and that book contains all the info you will ever need to help deal with Milo.
That's a stroke of luck, right?
Of course, having a murderous little creature popping in and out of his ass isn't really what Duncan wants out of life. So his therapist convinces him to bond with the little creature in the hopes of stopping it from killing people. God damn it, look at this. Remake after bloody remake every single week. I can't take much more of this, guys.
Mark, it's time you got some help. Just lay down, alright?
Oh, I don't need help. You guys already tried to stage an intervention and Jane made that weird device that tried to read my mind.
Look, we got you some professional help, so just lay down, it'll be alright.
Okay.
Alright, Mark. Why are you so angry about remakes?
Because they're terrible. They got a ratio of 95% dog shit to 5% awesome.
But surely that makes the awesome ones worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, you liked the remake of Maniac, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a good film, but then you get prequels and things like that. I mean, you saw what happened when they done the Star Wars prequels, right? They were terrible.
Wait, did you just hear that?
Said remakes are shit?
No, you started talking about Star Wars prequels.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
You know what you gotta do now?
Punch George Lucas?
Well, that's a little bit extreme, isn't it? How about after the review, we go and see George Lucas, you have a little chat with him, yeah?
Alright, I'll give it a go. Thanks, guys.
I always find indie flicks hard to review, mainly because you have to take into account the fact that they're low budget and they may struggle because of that. But on the whole, this movie looked decent. The action was great and the effects were as realistic as they can be. And Milo had this certain violent yet lovable edge to him that would have been probably ruined had they gone down the CGI route. So I think this film benefited from not having millions and millions to spend.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it looked indie and low budget, but that's half the charm, isn't it?
In fact, we really do need to congratulate the effects guys and of course the puppeteers, Frank Langley and Bob Mano, for bringing Milo to life and helping to make him such a fun little character.
The only real problem I would have with the film would be elements of the story. The plot concept was whimsical and entertaining, but I just felt a little let down towards the end. It kind of seemed like Jacob Vaughan, who wrote and directed the piece, almost gave up towards the end and settled for the second best ending. Well, at least when it came down to taming Milo, in my opinion. Other than the small quibble with the story, I thought everything else was great.
Yeah, the acting was perfect because everyone seemed to play their parts really well and they had just the right amount of exaggeration to their characters so they didn't feel too ridiculous and it made for a good, enjoyable movie. The film did a fantastic job of being a horror comedy, and even though it was pretty much more comedy than it was horror, it still managed to be really funny, and it worked better than most out-and-out comedies do.
However, it did rely heavily on poop, fart and dick jokes. But if you're a fan of that humour, you'll have a blast watching this. And to be fair, that's probably the reason you're watching this review rather than somebody more professional.
Actually, guys, before we do our final thoughts, I might pop and see George Lucas if I've got time, yeah?
Oh, mate, yeah, see you in a bit.
Thanks for your help, by the way.
That's all right. Don't be long.
Bye.
I don't know how you can drink that stuff.
My name is George Lucas. I made money from space movies. Oh. George Lucas? Nice. I really liked this film and I thought it was a good throwback to what made movies great in the 80s, and I really liked its reliance on prosthetics over CGI. Now if I had to draw comparisons, then I'd say that it reminded me of what James Gunn did with Slither, mixed with the codependency of Dwayne and Belial from Basket Case. I would have liked it to be a bit more bloody and visceral, but otherwise I had a great time with the movie, which I watched with my wife, and when it was over she turned to me and said something like, "You watch some shit, don't you?" To which I can proudly reply, "Yes. Yes, I do. And I, for one, will be getting this on DVD once it's available." Well, in fact, all I need to know now is just one thing. Are there any cuddly Milo toys available anywhere? And if so, where can I get one?
This isn't the best indie movie in the world, but I've seen a lot worse. Bad Milo is definitely worth watching. It's funny in places and has this great light-hearted charm to it. Patrick Warburton, Stephen Root and Peter Stormare were all great and played their parts perfectly. So, should you fancy watching a good, low-budget, cheesy, comedy horror film which features a little thing with teeth and a bad temper go in and out of a man's anus, then you'll love this film. If that sounds like your worst nightmare, maybe give this flick a miss.
I like how they made this comedy horror B-movie feel like it was from the 80s with puppets instead of god-awful cheap CGI. This film had a great story, an over-the-top humour, a great cast of characters, and in my own words, this film was shit-tastic. I'm gonna go in the toilet! Hey guys, come quick, I've done a Milo, you gotta see it! Come on guys, look! Look at it, look!
Oh, Joe!
Oh, that's horrific!
What's the matter with you?
Oh,
It's got Cheerios in it. You're disgusting. What's the matter?
what's wrong with you? Oh, he's so cute. Yeah, I think I'm gonna name him Steve, guys. Oh, look at his little Cheerios and sweet corn. Oh.
Thanks for watching this Bad Milo film review. ChapterSkip have given this movie a generally positive review, but would still like to hear from all of you. Have you seen Bad Milo? If so, what did you think to it? Leave a response below. You can also leave any opinions on all the normal social media outlets. Check out the description box for all the links. And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
Bad Milo features Ken, played by Ken Murray. Duncan.
Things such as incompetent co-workers. Go workers. Go workers.
Go co-workers.
Obviously, the best way to do the
That contains all the info you would ever need to help deal with Milo.
That's a strike, right?
Sorry. I'm trying to fight it. I'm standing there. And in this case, you really don't want to let Milo get on top of you, because if you do, you could very well.
Mainly because you have to take into account the fact that
You're only doing that noise, so I can't make a little comment on the end.
Yeah.